I think anytime David walks through the room, it lightens it up. It brings an energy. He looks in great shape. Had a chance to talk with him earlier when he first got in here this morning. He's full go and a major part of everything that we do.
Not to pry into the conversation, but where he's at in his career, what kind of expectations do you have? Is it the same, or how do you look at David Ortiz?
Best DH in the game, a guy that sacrifices and puts in the work necessary to be an elite performer. Don't anticipate that changing this year. He gets on another year here with the Red Sox and in his major league career. But when you, as we've said many times, seeing the work that he puts in leading into a season or during the season, the work he does video-wise, he does everything he's capable of to maintain the performance, and he marches on.
Do you ever try to get a feel for what his expectations are? Obviously, this team is to win, but personally, what his expectations are coming into a season when you meet with him?
He talks about winning all the time. He knows how important it is to all of us. He's, the one guy that's got 3 World Series championships remaining with this group. So his place in Red Sox history is pretty clear. But that doesn't put him in a position to take anything for granted or slack up in his work and preparation. It's about winning. It's about him going out and performing like he's capable of. And that's been, you start to pencil in 30 and 100, that's been pretty consistent with David.
He's had some different philosophies about how much game action he needs in spring. When he got off to some slow starts a few years ago, he sort of pinned it on not getting enough at-bats in games and then wanted to get more, particularly toward the end. Did that come up today in terms of how many he needs and whether to put him on more road rosters? Or
No, now I will say I've had a chance to talk to him. We haven't had our one-on-one meeting yet. We're still working through all those. But I think 2 years ago he didn't have any at-bats and things turned out pretty well for him. That's ideally, and typically you try to get anywhere from 55 to 70 at-bats for your regulars during spring training. Whether or not he's needing of that many, that's a feel. I mean, he's been doing this so long. I think he's got a pretty good feel for what allows him to be game ready once the season begins. But like I said, 2 years ago might have been the outlier, but no at-bats, and he was certainly ready to go.
John, David clearly has that infectious personality, not only cachet, but can I use that word, cachet? Buck's word. He has cachet in the game as well as on this team. But with this team this year, with so many different international influences, Venezuelan, Dominican, just talk about his place in the game, his place on this team, and how that will affect his team.
Well, regardless of where players come from, they all look up to him. There are certain players in the game that draw the attention of the opponents, that draw the attention of your teammates. What everyone has witnessed and felt is David's genuineness. He cares about people. And that's evident by he just doesn't talk about it. He does it in his own private time and off the field. But when it comes to a team and taking care of his teammates, he's very protective. And he gives a lot of confidence to those guys that are first coming to Boston to understand what the uniqueness and the greatness of playing here can present. And in addition to the numbers he puts up, that's what makes David himself.
Whether it was true or not, do you think the perception David had of the lineup being thin last year affected him, and do you think that is obviously maybe a change in his mindset this year?
Rob, I don't know how it could have affected him. At one point, he was contributing 22% of our offense. So,
well, not performance-wise, but just feeling good about the situation.
I don't think anybody felt good about the situation last year. Our record indicated what we were, and that wasn't good. So there's a major shift that's taking place throughout the offseason. We're beginning to realize it now that everyone's here in camp. And whether it's David, Pablo, Petey, or Knapp, regardless of who you talk about, our goal is to be the most familiar with our team, not just a group of individuals, by the time we leave here.